when people get drunk, they go to me like, she's a CEO. I'm like,
oh God.
I'm not.
No, that is not a good friend.
And I hate that, you know.
I'm
like,
going to get a mug for you with that on.
Oh. Welcome to my next episode of Managed. It is with the amazing Charlie Copsey. She is the founder of Underground Fan Club and the producer of Fighting Talks. Welcome, Charlie, to
Hello.
Managed. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm really excited to have you on the pod because you are very similar in terms of entertainment, but completely different. I specialize in female first, right? And you went into the male-dominated space.
Yes, I
Like
did.
heavy.
Yeah, without really knowing it or planning it.
For anyone who doesn't know, can you walk us through how you began your career?
Yeah.
Because obviously I fell into the female-dominated management space. I worked in like a nude magazine.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I was not in the magazine.
Okay.
Actually, I was in one. I was in one, but not nude, fully dressed.
Okay.
Snuck my way in. So how did you go into the sports sort of world?
Yeah, very by accident. So I joined a production company straight out of uni, and they needed a runner, and I was like, yep, that's for me. And they produced a show called Fighting Talk, which is on BBC 5 Live. It's a sports entertainment show. And they needed someone to fill in for the production assistant who was away on holiday. And I just absolutely loved it. Like, had no intention of working in radio. Wasn't really a sports fan, even though I went to Loughborough Uni, but I'd studied drama. So everyone's like, oh, you went to Loughborough, you played sport. And I'm like, nope, studied drama. And and I absolutely loved it. And I still work on that show. So 16 years later now, a long time.
Because you love that show.
I do love it. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship. Like, we're like a family. So it's the same people that have worked on it. You know, we argue, we love each other, but we have many arguments. But it is kind of like that. I've done so many different jobs within that company. Like, I worked in TV, in sport, entertainment. I worked in documentary. I was a researcher on a documentary for about call girls. You know, when Belle de Jour came out, I can't remember if you remember that book. So you're a bit younger than me. So
I was going to
Billy
say
Piper. Can you remember the TV?
No, Billy, yes. I tried to rewatch that the other day, and I didn't realize how bad the quality is in terms of, like the visual quality.
Oh yeah.
Because the visuals nowadays are so high end that you forget, like, almost how, like, same when I watched Absolutely Fabulous the other day. I was like, oh my God, it is literally blurry.
I know.
How did I ever watch that?
No HD.
No HD.
So we did the real Belle de Jour. So we actually, I had to go and find high-end escorts, I guess.
Oh my God, I love
to participate. That. So it was great, like some of the stories. That's for another podcast. But I actually got one of them asked me to be, she was like, pretty much trying to recruit me. The producer was like, okay, let's lead you away from this.
That's a very different
I was
career.
like 23.
Were you tempted?
No, I wasn't tempted.
I feel like that, the cool girl thing is the kind of thing that I would really enjoy. Not to do, just like to research. I think that's fascinating.
I was so but also the women that we found were doing it for so many different reasons. Like, there was one woman, she was married, she had kids, and she basically was like, I just want to do something for myself. Her husband knew about it, and she saw it more as a way of like helping men and getting men through. It wasn't all about sex for her. Like,
so they do have to have sex?
No, not all the time. No. So some of them, it wasn't about sex. It was more about companionship as well.
I think I could do that one.
Yes.
Like a talk.
Yeah.
Like a pen pal.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we digress. So did that. So did so many different things. I was also the assistant producer on a feature film with Nicholas Hoult, which was an amazing experience. So I had all of these, like, I worked in all these different industries, film, TV, radio, which is a very unique experience for someone in our industry, because I feel like you kind of like, you'll go into TV and then you stay in TV, and you'll stay in documentary or stay in reality TV. So I had such a varied career, but I got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to pick one route to go down. And as much as I'm not actually a massive sports fan, and this always makes people laugh, because it's like, obviously my company and a lot of my life is about sport. But what I love is the people, and like bringing people together, and everything like outside of that 90 minutes on the pitch, the personalities and what sport does to people, brings people together, and it's about community and all of these other things. So yeah, I decided to leave the company I was at for 11 years, massive decision in my early 30s, bit of one of those like life crises, like what am I doing with my life? And and then I just thought I'm going to just do something on my own and freelanced for a while. And then the idea of Underground Fan Club, which is my business, that came about because I'd created this amazing black book of contacts, sports people, comedians, celebrities, got really great relationships with them. And Fight and Talk's a really popular show. It's popular with the fans and audiences, but it's also popular with people that come on. It's like a real prestigious show to get on. And it's because it's fun for them to be on, like they talk about sport for an hour, they have a laugh, they'll get to be with 3 other people that, love sport as well, whether it's a comedian or a footballer or whoever. And we just create a really nice environment and a fun environment for talent to be there, because they really don't do it for the money. It's really rubbish money. And
to be honest with you, the more linear you go in terms of like high-end TV, the worse the money is.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's like you cannot survive off just TV.
But actually recently, because we're booking the new series for the show, and I was like, still the same fee. And everyone's response is, I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love doing it. Which is a great position to be in. So I was, like hanging out with all these people, and we were doing all these live shows at the same time. So we did our first live fighting talk about 11 years ago now. So obviously live podcast shows are really popular. But at the time, really no one was doing this. And we got asked to do a live radio show. And our show's on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So it's not like rowdy, you're drinking pints, watching it in the audience. And we were like, why would someone want to watch a radio show? It's such a boring thing. Because as a producer, you're just like, it's a bit boring. And apparently it's really fun and really popular. And we did this show in, I think it was Harrogate. And we had hundreds of people turn up.
Amazing.
And it was great. And it was like the first time where we kind of got to meet our audience. And we were like, this is actually really cool. And we've probably done about over 30 shows now. Biggest show was in front of 5,000 people at Liverpool Echo Arena. It was simulcast on 6 Music. We had Primal Screenplay. And it was just incredible. So the inspiration for Underground Fan Club was all about bringing people together through a shared passion and giving fans access to talent that they would never, ever usually get to meet, because we're such privileged people to be able to hang out with sports people and, like really inspiring people. But like 99% of people don't ever get to do that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the ambition for Underground Fan Club. And I've really digressed because I didn't really talk about men at that point.
Do you know what? I literally just sort of let it happen because it was really, you actually answered about 3 of my questions whilst in that. So it's even better. So obviously, we both are female founders who started a business, and, we were talking about it just like before off camera, but how ballsy it is to start a business. When obviously you said you freelanced for a little bit. So did you have any financial backing before? No. Or when you started, did you think, okay, how am I going to make money? Like, what is going to be like the paywall for this? Because, for management, it's easy. We make a percentage, or if you sell a product, you have your margins. But I guess I think you have yours is free to be a member, right?
Free to be a member. Yeah. So we work with brands. So that's the way that we monetize it at the moment. To be honest, it has grown so organically. So it's coming up to 5 years that I started it. The first ever event we did was ahead of the Joshua Povetkin fight. And I wanted to create like a warm-up party that was looking ahead to the fight on the Saturday. And I got a free space at the Curtain, and I got Nick Bright to host it, Darren Harriott, the comedian, Steve Bunce, the boxing commentator, David Hay.
And they did this as friends?
They did it for free. I rang them all and I'm like, I'm trying something new. Will you come and support me? And they're like, yeah, this is great. Because the way I said it to them, I was like, we need to create a space for fans. It's like, and there's nothing really out there that's happening like this. And even now, like this is 5 years later and there's still nothing. And Fleur East is my mate. So I was like, can you come and DJ? And she's like, yeah, I don't know anything about boxing, but sure. So she came and we created this event. There was about 70 people there. And I'll never forget. So David Hayes' agent, I went to uni with her, and she messaged me during the show and she's like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, we need this in our industry. And David came off after the stage and he was just like, I really loved that because he got to interact with people that actually wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I think talent, there's so many opportunities where they go do corporate events and they do corporate speaking, especially in sport. And, you know, the money's great. Of course, they're going to do it. But it's quite a sterile environment. It's very, you know, people are going to take their clients. They're all getting drunk. You know, no one's there to really kind of like, you know, listen to the actual person. And the show or whatever you want to call it, it's just a Q&A. So it's this, I've gone to loads of corporate events and it is literally the same questions over and over again. And as a producer, I'm sat there and I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring and unimaginative. Yeah. So as a producer, our events, like it's really developed over the years, but it's all about the script, the format. How do we get the audience involved? How do we get the most out of talent and putting the right people together? So, you know, like everyone complements each other and just like making it a really fun environment for the talent as well as the fans there as well.
It's really interesting because the way you describe it is very similar to the conversations I have with, you know, like TV shows, especially now they're going down this like digital format. Yeah. And it is really important that the talent you have together. Oh. I've been to a show before and I was involved in it. And, you know, some talent, they just weren't really vibing. And you can kind of see it. And it sort of lets down that like the vibe of the audience pick up on it. And I think you having that outside perspective from being a producer, you know, it's so easy to see when, say like an events company, I've been to loads of events and whatnot, and you can always tell when someone's either not got the experience or, you know, there's all these different things all put together by brands where they've hired someone who's quite young, they've never done an event before, and they just think it's about who can you get to attend, how many drinks can flow.
They're more bothered about the food and the drinks. And I'm like, that's the last thing on the list.
No one eats.
Exactly.
We just want alcohol and good vibes, okay?
Exactly.
And so why would you say that yours is like such a different, you know, events company to say any others? I've never ever heard of others like kind of similar things on what you're doing. Yeah,
exactly. And that's
I keep calling it Underground Fight Club, by the way.
No,
and I need to not, it's definitely fan club.
No one's fighting, hopefully. We're doing it very wrong if they are. So going back to your original question, which again, I totally sidetracked, but I didn't have a business plan. Mm-hmm. I didn't have investment. I just was like, I just need to do this. I just need to give it a go and see where it goes. I was still producing Fight and Talk at the time. And that gave me the financial freedom to like, okay, that pays for essentially my rent. And, you know, like I'm good with that. And I just wanted to like explore it. And also because I come from the broadcast background, I'd never worked with brands before. I never worked with agencies. That whole agency brand world is very, very different to, you know, broadcast, TV, radio. I think it's merging a lot more now, but, you know, like back in the day, especially. And so and it's really developed over the years. So we started off doing events. I would never say we're an events company now. I'd say we create content as well. We are our own brand. Underground Fan Club is a brand. And we are essentially a platform, a community space, like whatever you want. Like we're still trying to figure out actually even what we are, because we're kind of everything and we're not any of those things at the same time. So it's quite hard. And we're doing something, like you say, we are doing something very different. Our events, like someone said to me the other day, she was introducing me to someone and she said, Underground Fan Club, their events, like brands look at you and they always go, I wish we'd done that. And like, that was like such a great thing to hear because we just have our own, I don't know, like recipe. I can't really explain. Like when you come,
our own swag.
Yeah, our own swag. Like when you come to an event, we make sure everyone feels welcome and special and part of something. And like it's really hard to like if someone said what are the ingredients for that, it's quite hard to put that in, you know, like make a list. But yeah, so it's now kind of like a community platform. So as a member, so if you're joining, then that means you get access to events. We've got member perks. So we've got discounts to different brands. We've got competitions. So, you know, we want, when you come into contact with Underground Fan Club, when you're a member, we just want you to feel part of something and we want to elevate your life. You know, it's like, and we do that by working and partnering with brands and talent that want to be part of that as well.
Yeah, I think there's such a different sort of world that you're talking about as well. Of the brands, agencies, talent, events, like everything is like kind of shifting in this different way. it still baffles my brain. I do this all day, every day. Like it actually stresses me out as well, because aligning it is so important. Even as an agent on the other side, if you can't align your talent correctly, it defines everything that they're doing.
Definitely.
You answered so many of my questions. As you were saying before about, how that you don't really, you're like shapeshifters in a way that you don't really fit into one box and you're always trying to figure it out. I feel like I get that with like how HLD is, because we are a brand, but also have this job. And, I think also as you get older, your vision changes.
Oh, yeah.
You've gone down a rebrand recently.
Yes.
Explain why you went down that rebrand and like the process of it. I've done like 4 rebrands and they're all equally as painful as the last.
They are.
And also it's just getting it right of what your vision is and trying to explain to someone what that vision looks like is also painful.
Yeah, it was. So I started this in January. So we're now in August. So that launched about 6 weeks ago, and it was painful, but it was also so liberating and really eye-opening, because as I said to you, I'd never had a plan with this. Things have just developed, and it's going very organically. I had a friend design a logo, I don't think I even paid him. It was all like, back in the day. Yeah. And yeah, there was just kind of like it wasn't really any kind of like massive thought into all that, like the branding and stuff. And then we started off very heavily in sport, and we did a lot in fitness as well. And our original logo was almost like a crest, like like you have on a football shirt. It was that kind of, and it was very kind of quite masculine and bold. And it just really started bothering me towards the end of last year. And I'm just like, we've really developed now, and we're not what we were 4 years ago. And I think that's the whole point of rebrands, right? You're constantly, once you get to a certain point where you're like, this isn't really representative of us anymore. And I wanted it to be, kind of like a logo and the story behind your logo. I wanted that to be a really important part of it. So we worked with an agency, and I sat down with them, and there was so much work around like, what's our personality? How do you want people to feel? One of the questions was, if an alien came to Earth, how could they how can they replicate your brand? Or like, what will they not be able to replicate? And I'm
interesting.
Yeah, so it was like really interesting questions, and like so many things. I was like, really made me think.
I never thought of that. Now I'm thinking
it's a good one. It's a good one, because what I said, like, they don't have my contact book. Yeah, that is something they cannot get.
Yeah,
and that's made me realize over the years, like that contact book and my relationships with people, and the fact that talent really want to work with us and work with me. That's something that's like so precious, and that's what's really got me to this place now. And then another one was like, what do you want? Like, if you, I can't remember. It was like one of the questions was like, what do you want to feel in 3 years' time, or something like this, or like, what's the term of success in 3 years? And I like said something around like, I made it into a person, like a member of our club, and they were wearing one of our hoodies, and they're walking down the street and they see someone else in a hoodie, and they're like, we're part of the same community, and how it makes them feel at an event, and like all this kind of stuff. So there was like it took a long time for me to answer these questions as well, because I'm like, I've never even thought about this. I've just been doing it, it's kind of like, and it was really important to just take a step back. And and then even like the logos, it's like really hard. But so this is actually, this circle is part of our brand, and
is this one of your brand tops?
Yeah. I've got you on. I've got you on.
Have you?
Yes, I've got you on.
I love freebies.
So you will be. I gave Molly a hoodie as well.
I'll plug it. I'm really good for things like that too. Like, I love it. Next podcast, remind me to wear it, Luke. Yeah, I'm gonna wear it here.
I'll get you a hoodie as well if you want.
Oh, I love a hoodie, oversized.
So get you an oversized.
I love that you've got into the merch side too. I actually didn't know that you went in like the.
Well,
merch
no, this is very new. Literally, they arrived 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow,
and
this is like an exclusive.
Yeah, this is an exclusive, but again, I wanted something that like really people want to represent as well. And again, it's like feel part of the community. So this, so it's underground, and this is the O in underground.
Yeah.
The logo. And hopefully we can cut it in at some point. And this is actually derived from Ubuntu, which I don't know whether you know, it's like an African term, and it's all around humanity. And it's like, I am me because of who we are. And that kept coming back when we were doing the strategy, that we're all about like supporting people and about empowering people and entertaining people and all this kind of stuff. But it's like we all are reflective of each other. So that's like the branding was actually kind of came out of all of that. And also what I realized was when we were working with the agency that the personality of Underground Fan Club is basically my personality.
Yeah.
And that's probably the same with your company.
Well, it has to be. I think an interesting point of your alien question. Yes. It's not just your book of contacts. No one is you and you are the brains, right? So even if you sold your company, I was actually talking I have a new non-exec chairman and he was talking to me about, how the company is. And he was like, you could sell this company, which I'm not planning to. No. But if you sold it, that doesn't mean that it's going to be successful because you are the person behind that company. The vision you have comes from you, no one else. You can give someone the recipe, but that doesn't mean they're going to make the same sauce. You give me a cake recipe, I can't bake, right? It's going to shit. But, and that is like what a company is different. I think, I was saying this to you earlier, just before, about being like a CEO and like, trying to figure out what that really means and what, especially when like, I think because I'm young, I think it gets in my head of what I should behave like.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel like people meet me and they're just so disappointed because I never had like a business strategy. I really winged it. And then only really in the last probably 18 months did I really start going like heavy on the business side. Sometimes I feel like I fell here. Like I fell, we did well. And it was, I think it probably is me and my team's personalities that really make it. And, being so hands-on and that humanity side, I know that one of the things that you're really like conscious on is like how talent are treated and how that is so important. And sometimes maybe, I don't know in your industry, but in the management world, you see that some people are just a number, like they're a paycheck. Oh my God.
I said, they're a commodity.
Yeah.
And
they're a walking paycheck.
Yeah.
And I think talent are now starting to see that too. And, I think some people try and do like the hands-on thing, but if it doesn't come natural, there's no point pretending to be something you're not. You might as well just say, okay, fine, I am an agent. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And I guess the same with the sports side. I don't know any sports managers, by the way. So I really don't know that world.
Yeah.
But we do have a boxer now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. She's got some exciting things coming up.
She has.
What are your thoughts on the female sports world now that it's like really being given that, I guess the publicity it deserves finally?
Oh my God, I know. And it's a long time coming, obviously. I think with anything, people just need to get to know sports people as people, or with any opportunity or any world. And I think it's like working on Fighting Talk. So when I came in 16 years ago, it was very male, male pundits, male sports people that came on. They probably had about 5 women that would come on over the year. And over that time, like, I'm not just saying it's me, like the whole team, like as we made it such a conscious effort to make sure that we've got women represent, like women, female voices coming on. But I've talked about this a lot. It's really hard because if women aren't given the opportunity to be out there in the public and, like build their profile, then at the end of the day, like we're a national radio show and we're a high profile podcast. So you need people with high profiles.
Yeah.
And so it's chicken and egg because you're like, well, we need to get women on, but if they haven't got the high profile, then they really shouldn't come on. But then when are they going to get the high profile? It's catch 22. Yeah. So, like we have like loads of women on now that are absolutely brilliant. And it's not just our podcast, our show that does that. But I'm definitely proud in saying that we have been at the forefront of doing that as well. And that comes across the board with diversity as well. And, like BBC have their numbers, but we've always been way ahead of that. And that's so important. And obviously as a female myself, I think you go that kind of like extra kind of like, that the importance of that is, is really important. But yeah, I just think it's definitely leveling up, isn't it? But we still have a long way to go.
For sure. In terms of like the events you're doing now, would you say that you've consciously made more of an effort to support the female side of the sports world?
Yeah, so we've actually worked with a couple of fitness brands, so Adidas and
there's a couple
Hoka.
Of like very low profile fitness brands.
Adidas and Hoka, and we actually did female specific events. So, and also with ASICS as well. So we worked with Adidas Terex, which is their trail running part of the brand. And we worked with Fleur East and we wanted to get more women into trail running. So we did this whole campaign and we did an event and we got women to join us, and that was very female led. And I think especially in that kind of fitness world as well, you know, like there's so many women feel, you know, conscious about their body, you know, what they're wearing. They don't feel safe when they're running. Like there's so many elements to, that kind of fitness part of things. So it's just like making a space for women, you know, to feel like, okay, this is for me, and I'm going to be around like-minded women. And like, you know, loads of our events are obviously for men and women as well. But there's times when you go, actually, no, we're going to focus in and hone on this to make sure that we've got this, you know, kind of like welcome, inclusive space for women specifically.
I really love that, because I actually think, you know, a lot of the sport, I went to a Gymshark event. One of my talent was like a speaker there. And, you know, everyone was so body confident. And I became very aware that my legs were very wobbly that day. And I was like, wow. And the thing is, I think there is two different types of people, especially with sports. And also, especially, I would say the older women. Yeah. Like, you know, my mum, she likes to run, but she would not feel comfortable wearing like shorts. No. Or, you know, even really being around men, you know, doing that. And I think that's why these things are so important still. And I think... I think people think we're getting more confident because we're speaking about body positivity more, but that really doesn't do. I don't think that means that you are more confident.
No.
You know, we're not all happy to be naked on TV and stuff like.
No.
Although naked attraction is a wild one.
Yeah, it is.
In terms of like looking for an investor, I've not actually done it myself. You never know, maybe in the future. What are the steps and what are you looking for in an investor? Because I have been offered before, but their intentions were wrong, and you can tell that straight away. So what are the key things that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I have, like you, I've been offered, so many people have come up to me and said, you know, love to invest. It's just never been the right time. Like, I really wanted to get the business to a point where I was happy. Or almost like, now we've done the rebrand, I'm like, okay, I'm really happy with what we're doing, and I'm confident of like our voice and our why and our purpose. Whereas before I was always like, I was still figuring it all out. So I was like, if someone's going to invest in that, it didn't feel the right timing for me. And I'm such a person, like someone could ask me to do something one week and I'll go no. And then the next week be like, yeah, I'm ready now. Like I have to do everything in my own time. And I've just got to the point where I go, okay, this is great, but now it needs that next level of, and like money is the thing that can do that. And I've really grappled with it. Like, do we need investment? Do we not? And the big thing for me to get investment is to grow a team. And I know I work with freelancers, and, you know, I want that core team now. I want people like that are way better than me. Like, because I'm a producer. I'm a creative person. I'm the relationships. I'm like the get shit done, the ideas. But, you know, I want someone to come in and go, okay, this is how we build revenue. This is our commercial strategy. Yeah. You know, like all these different things. That's not me. And I know that you asked me before, and I think I totally went off in a tangent. But I that's one of the things that I kind of struggle with, because I never had a plan to own a business. Yeah. Ever. I wasn't someone selling lemonade at 10 years old, like how every flipping entrepreneur seems to be.
I know who you're talking about.
But do you know what I mean? Like when you hear people on podcasts and they're I was running a tuck shop and selling Mars bars at like 10 years old.
You know, their businesses have failed, and this has happened. And I completely agree. And like, you know, I literally was 24 and said on a whim, like, I can do it better. And if I sink, it's fine, because I'm young enough that I could go work at Sainsbury's. So that was kind of like my thought.
Exactly.
And I feel like, were you just doing it to make some extra money, or was it like...
No, it wasn't really about the money. It was just like, I just had this massive, I was like, no one's doing this. And it's very rare that you find something that no one else is doing. Yeah. And I was like, I just had like, and I still have this, like, I know what I'm doing is so important, and I know that it's going to be big. Like, I just know that this business is going to be really successful, and we're going to do some massive things with it. I don't have a doubt about that. But it was just like, when I worked at a production company, like even 5 years, like if someone said, oh, you're going to own a business, or when I was 18 or whatever, I would have gone, no, I won't. Honestly, like, just, it was not something I ever planned to do. So it was very, just a very organic thing that I did. But that is something that I go, oh yeah, I for a long time, people would say, what do you do? And I say, I'm a producer. And then people go, no, you're an entrepreneur. And I'm like,
oh. I really hate saying that too.
Yeah, I know. Or like, no, you're a business owner. And I'm like, yeah, but
I also hate the word founder, which is a very bizarre thing.
Female founder's even worse.
Like, no, but this is honestly, it's like, I really hate it, and it's in my bio and everything. I just like, I don't know why. I don't, you know
but
what?
you are though.
I know,
it's
but
amazing.
I just really fucking hate the word. I think it's an ugly sounding word, so it's not really what it means. It's just like I hate the word. Like when people are like, oh, you're a founder. I'm like, well, what does that like? Like, and I hate the words. Like I feel so dicky when I say I'm a CEO.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like saying like, oh yeah. So I always say to people, I own a business. And like, what do you do? And then, what I do and what you do as well is very interesting. So then all of a sudden you get like all the questions. I don't know if you're at that point now, we go to like parties with your friends and like you somehow get cornered.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, so how do you make money? So how do you do this? And how did you find this person? And I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm drunk. I'm not going to answer that.
You just say something like, I work in a shop. End of story. Let's move on.
I think but also, I don't know if you have the same where you've also feel this pressure to build your own profile because it's going to benefit your business.
Yes. Oh
and
my
then
God, yeah.
I have this thing where, people are like, oh, but Hannah wants to be big herself. I'm like, I don't necessarily, I just know I know how to build a business and I know how to get my name out there for my business. And I think people struggle with the two.
I really, really, really struggle with that. Because I guess I'm a producer, I'm always behind the camera.
Stop saying a producer. She's an entrepreneur. She's a founder, CEO, entrepreneur, part-time producer.
Exactly. But that's my trade. And so I've never been in front, that's not a kind of like a natural thing for me. And like, I just really, like with Instagram, it took me a long time. I always felt like anything you post on Instagram, I felt like I was showing off. And I was almost, do you know what I mean? And
I kind of like it a little bit too. I like LinkedIn for that reason.
LinkedIn's great because it's so business.
Like LinkedIn is, my dick is bigger than your dick. That is literally what LinkedIn is.
I know.
And I love it because I don't post that often. But I love watching other people's posts. And like also people like really refurbish that content.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've seen like some people do the same post, but 10 different versions of it. And I'm like, wow, you're really hammering that in.
Yeah, exactly.
But good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Do you feel confident on LinkedIn? It's just not, or more Instagram?
Like, I hate them all. But
oh really? Do you not like spying on LinkedIn? I'm a big. I think it's like business Facebook, and I like Facebook still. I'm like old school.
Oh God, you still on Facebook?
I have Facebook.
I
love it.
I haven't been on Facebook. I did a post on Instagram the other week, and then I realised that it posted to Facebook and I was like,
she's one of me. You're one of me. All my stuff goes onto my Facebook, more for my mum. Because like my mum's on there, like grannies, stuff like that.
Oh.
I think Facebook's nice to see like who's pregnant from my school and
I don't want to know that at all.
Really? No, I find it fascinating.
No, and I feel like with LinkedIn, like I have to be so careful with LinkedIn or anywhere because the amount of times I will go on there and then you look at what people are doing and sometimes you feel like, oh, I haven't done that or I'm like it's hard.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
So you have to really check yourself and like, I always have to go, no, they're not doing what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Like stay in your own lane. And people will look at what you post sometimes and I'm sure they'll go, oh my God, Charlie's smashing it. And some days I feel like I am smashing it. And some days I'm going, oh my God, what am I doing?
I've never related to a sentence more. I say, when people say this to me all the time now, which is really nice, but I feel like, I feel like I'm living my girl boss life for you, which I hate the word girl boss, by the way. Or like, you're absolutely smashing it. I'm like, yeah, but actually sometimes I feel so inadequate and I feel like, oh, I'm not doing the most. And like my job is like to please people because of their careers. And I put myself under so much pressure and I'm sure you do the same. Whereas like you feel like you'll see someone else do that and you're like, why I didn't do that?
Yes.
Or they work with that brand. Like, why didn't I work with that brand? And it's a constant battle. But I feel now you're saying like about staying in your own lane. I feel like I'm so confident that I'll be there soon. So it's
100%.
You almost have to you have to check yourself.
You do.
Or, that's why having that core team is important. My team literally sit there and go like, you are deluded. It's like what we're doing is so incredible and like so easy, especially even like your rebrand made you sit and think about your business. Where I'm so focused on all the other people's careers, sometimes I absolutely forget why I began because it's so easy to lose it in the fast track of this world. Like And it's so competitive.
And social media really does that. Obviously, it's a massive highlights reel. You only see the good stuff. And I think...
Don't see us crying because everything's gone peaked on for the day.
Exactly. And everyone has self-doubt. I'm sure they do. But yeah, you just have to remember that as well. And at the end of the day, we started a business. A lot of people say they will and they don't.
A lot of people start and fail.
And I just think, and also one thing that I really want to do is I really want to have a good time along the way.
I believe in that too.
Yeah.
I love enjoying myself, and I started a business to make sure that I could have fun.
Exactly.
And so many of my friends are so miserable
Yeah.
in their own jobs. And I just think, could never be me. I'd switch off like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, you could get to do this whole thing for 10 years and make a shit ton of money. But if you're unhappy in the process, literally what is the point?
Yeah.
I have no interest in that. And yeah, I just love what I do. I love being around people. I love being inspired by people. I love being able to inspire other people. And yeah, just I think it's so important. And also being able to control your own destiny. Sounds quite wanky, but I've
said a few wanky things today, so it's fun.
But I don't. So I was talking to someone the other day, and they're really worried about getting redundant. I won't be in that position because I won't be making myself redundant.
No.
So it's like I'm in control of everything, and I think that is also very scary because you are in control. You're in control of getting more money and making sure the business works and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I'd much rather be in that position than have someone else tell me what my salary is. No, well, then you can't afford a mortgage, you can't do this, or you might get made redundant, or whatever, a million things happen. I'd rather be in that situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really depend on this safe option. Like, you're going into like normal 9 to 5 and you're safe. We've watched some of these huge companies go under. I heard about, which one is it? The house brand that I like going to? Like Savers, it's not Savers. There's one that's like everyone goes to
it. Wilkinson?
Wilco's.
Okay.
Wilco's. Like, where's that gone? Like, where's all the £1 on shower gels gone? Like,
exactly.
I just don't get it. But we've watched these huge brands go under.
Well, look at places like Google, like making off last
Spotify just had massive redundancies. And I think, I remember, I don't know if you had the same, you started very much like, oh, but you might go under, you might go bankrupt. Like, you know what? And that was a risk I took. And there's been a couple of times where I've been like, I have really this. But that is part of running a business.
Oh yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, it's not.
It is. And that's why it is very undermining when you say you're a female boss or you're a female founder. Like, I'm very aware of what is my gender. Thank you. I was going to say something really crude. I stopped myself.
But I would love to know, because I don't really talk about the female founder thing a lot. I don't ever say I'm a female founder. Like, so many people... I don't think I've
ever called myself a female founder.
No, oh God, no. But
hopefully you see what I've got here,
Exactly. But although, because I have the name Charlie, clearly, and I don't ever have she, her on my email or anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think I'm a man, which is quite interesting when I'm on email and stuff.
That's actually quite nice, though.
Yeah, and then I'll turn up and, like, if I'm meeting someone...
Do you see their faces drop?
I'll warn them in advance and go, by the way, I'm a female. Just because I've had some really awkward situations.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't love that. I do though a little bit.
Yeah. But I don't... There's so many opportunities where you can really go to town on that, but I don't, and maybe I should. But I just want to be a founder, right? And I don't want to use that gender thing. But sometimes I guess if you can use it to your advantage, then maybe we should. And it's interesting talking to you about it.
Yeah,
I think seeing whether you do or not.
I think for me, the thing that I always thought that people would maybe respect, and I don't know if this sounds wanky too, is the fact that I was young when I started.
Yeah.
Rather than my gender.
Yes.
But then although this is a very female heavy business on the entertainment side, it is a lot of the CEOs are men.
Yes.
It's a very male dominated industry. I have seen it a few times where I feel that I have been maybe overlooked because I'm a woman, or maybe, but I saw it more with my age. Because people really like, I'm managing people who are older than me, or I'm running people's careers and I'm doing these really like big deals and I'm young.
Yeah.
And I don't have that much life experience. I didn't have that much experience. But the female thing, it's like one ear out the other now, because I think where people, I don't know. I've never heard someone now in like a serious sense for like female founder or female boss. When people get drunk, they go to me like, she's a CEO. I'm like,
oh God.
I'm not.
No, that is not a good phrase.
And I hate that, you know.
I'm
like,
going to get a mug for you with that on.
Oh. I think, I'm very proud, I think, I guess, of being a woman founder because of how
the barriers.
Women didn't work not even that long ago.
Exactly.
So I guess that's why it's such an important fact.
Yeah.
But I don't think our gender should determine how good we are at business.
No, exactly.
Sometimes women, like, I really like the quote, and it actually came from my Mad Fat Greek Diaries, or my Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah, wedding.
And it was like, a man is a head, but a woman is a neck, can turn the man any way she wants. And I feel like it's not a bad analogy because women seem to see everything in a very different way. It's like I've met some male CEOs who are very like linear in their thoughts, and they can't see anything around them. Whereas I think women, we just naturally are quite open-minded, and I'm willing to take advice and I'm willing to hear criticism. I don't feel like my ego is that big that I can't listen to that. Like my team, I let them have their opinions and everything. They are part of every decision we make as a business. The ultimate one is mine, but
yeah, of course.
And we're all women, and I think I'm very proud of the fact that all my staff are women. I would take on a man. I just want to be very clear on that.
Yeah.
But funny enough, not many men apply for us, shockingly enough. But I think, that's why it is such an incredible thing of watching women come up together and supporting women. But what are your feelings on the word? Like, do you feel that you being a woman has made a difference in your industry? Because it is very male dominated.
So I have to phrase this carefully, but I feel like
you can crop it in post, so it's fine.
I feel like it's almost like I've used being a woman to my advantage, being in sport especially, because there are a lot of men, but as you said so rightly, I bring such a different perspective on things and a different way of thinking and being around people. So I'm very in touch with people's feelings, and I'm the people person. So whereas I don't know who won the FA Cup for the last 20 years, do I need to know that? No. Lots of people do, and they have that sports knowledge, and they, that's great. And as a sports producer, really important. But I am bringing so many different elements to that, and I really grappled with that for a long time because I almost felt like, because I wasn't a massive sports fan and I didn't have that knowledge, I almost felt like I was in the wrong
syndrome.
It was imposter syndrome for a long time. When you're young, you don't really appreciate, you don't see the value, the extra value you're bringing. And it's only
interesting you said that, because Els the Witch, sorry to interrupt, but Els the Witch came on and she said something very similar because she felt like she had to prove herself to sports fans as a commentator.
Yeah.
She's presenting. She doesn't need to necessarily know who won the FA Cup 20 years ago. But I feel like men have such an entitlement around women and male sports.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, got as a presenter, definitely as well. But I just feel like, and then I'm like, no, this is this is a brilliant thing to have. And actually, I'm probably in the minority to have this. So now I see it as a massive advantage. And I'm just like, there's not a situation where I'm like, I wish I was a man or anything like that. I think
the only situation I've ever wanted to be a man is in public toilets.
Yes, when you really need a toilet.
And they're disgusting.
At a festival, exactly.
They're disgusting. People are disgusting.
Exactly. But I just think I've definitely used it all I can to. And also I've had the most incredible people around me, mostly men as well, who have been so supportive. I haven't really had any situations where I've, been in horrible situations or had chauvinistic people around me. Yeah, like the odd time or something, but they're not part of my network, my people. And that has been a massive thing for me. And I'm so lucky because I know that is not, that's not common for a lot of women, especially in our industry as well. And then going on to the female founder thing, like I do think it's really important that a lot of women will be looking up to you. They'll be looking up to me. And I really want women to know that they can run a business and that they can.
And do it, by the way, be yourself, because
of course.
I'm nuts. Like, I know I'm like crazy, and you've got a big personality like me. I'm not going to put you in the same bracket in case you don't think you're nuts, right? But I think people...
There's a bit of nuts, yeah.
But I think people assume that you have to be very corporate and you have to be this certain way and have this fancy knowledge. But actually, the better you are at business comes from like how you run people. And I hire people now to do that stuff for me. So actually, I don't need to be the most intelligent person in that room.
Yep.
I've hired all the most intelligent people in one room who are teaching me and, you know, and they're following my vision. And I think that's what is important.
Definitely.
I think, you know, I think you're a badass woman. I was gonna call you a bitch, but I'm gonna stop.
Yes.
You're a badass woman, and I think what you're doing is incredible. I want to come to one of your events.
Yes.
I'm excited. If there was one part of your life that you would manage better, so that's work, personal, what part would it be? I know it's an interesting one, isn't it?
That's really interesting. I'm putting in more time to be spontaneous.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm I guess this is the producer in me, but I'm very love a diary, love a calendar, like
very organized.
You know, I'll be kind of setting things up weeks in advance because I'm just really busy and lots going on. But recently, I need to have spontaneity in my life because there's things that happen, like come up and you're like, oh, I've already got something in. Whereas I'm really trying to manage that kind of like and also just have time to chill. I think that's a really big thing for me. I'm such a go person. I'm like just love being busy and being around people and I've really started times that I've been doing a bit of breath work recently, which has been really kind of eye-opening. And I love going to the gym. That's my time. That's my meditation for me. But yeah, just kind of, and also been getting back into travel more. So I work really hard but I'm also like, I need to have holidays because that's my time to reset, to think. Like when I'm on holiday, I'm always like, oh, could do this. And I think it's like because you're not at your laptop or you're not having meetings. And so yeah, I was away last week. I'm going away for a couple of weeks next week to the States just to kind of be around different people. And so yeah, just those two things really, spontaneity, but also time to...
You're the absolute opposite of me. I spend so much time being spontaneous that I really have to really check myself on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at taking time off. So that's why I literally, if I want to do something, I just do it. And it's the same with like, if I want to buy something, I'll just buy it. And I just think, and then I think, I didn't need that mini trampoline, did I? So.
You actually bought one?
Yeah, I've got one in my garden. I buy things all the time and I think I'm going to use that all the time. It's going to revolutionize my life. Basically, I watched a TikTok of a girl doing these exercises. And when I did it, I was like, oh, I'm not keen on that. So it's just sort of, it's actually my dog sleeps on it in the garden.
Well, it's still useful. There you go.
It's useful. But yeah, but thank you so much for coming on. This has been such a great conversation.
I loved it. Thank you. Yay. Well, it went really so quickly.
I know, it was so good though. I really enjoyed that. How was that, like an hour? Thank you so much for watching this episode of Managed. If you loved watching, please make sure you're following us so you can receive updates on our next episode. I'll see you next week.